Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo.
Apply today and become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co.
And be sure to add our podcast in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application.
Ideals like peace, freedom, and justice, they get packed up, but we can all go home. Well, I'm not going home. I'm gonna get on my boat, and I'm going upriver, and I'm going to kick that son of a bitch Bison's ass so hard that the next Bison wannabe is gonna feel it. Now, who wants to go home and who wants to go with me?
Welcome to the Rated G for Gamers podcast, episode 266. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Rated G for Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
What's going on, Dave? Man, look, listen, aliens are real and they're here and they're coming for us. It's true. It is true. It's damn true. To quote Kurt Angle.
So I think I know what you're going to tell me, and I have some news for you as well. So tell me.
It was on CNN. It was on CNN. Listen, video game aliens are true. They're here. They're coming.
Video game aliens are true. The Greys are coming, baby. The Greys are coming.
No. Yeah. Listen, on CNN, it was I guess some leaked footage of like some unidentified flying object, right, that disappeared
from the Defense Department.
Yes,
from the Defense Department.
CNN confirmed like that leaked footage was real. Like it's either aliens or they're testing out a new aircraft and they don't want to tell anybody.
It could be could be one or the other. They're both just as plausible. I'll tell you this though. Speaking of weird stuff in the sky, I got up. So before that, a little bit of context. I'm fully vaccinated. So I'm good. I got my second shot, and my body's been a little bit out of whack.
That's so because you're turning into the alien. That's why.
Oh shoot! They got me. The transformation has begun.
Yeah. Well,
my arms are sore, right? And so I've been taking some Tylenol and all that. And I ended up falling asleep on the couch. I get up at 2 in the morning. Right, my cat's on top of me, and I'm like, all right, you got to get off. I got to go to bed, right? So I move my cat over. I go to the bathroom, I take some more Tylenol, and I'm walking upstairs, and I look out my window, and legit over the water in Manhattan, right, is this like weird blue color in the sky, right? Like bright blue, and it's like it's not moving, but it is like shifting in place, and I didn't see any.
That's your eyes adjusting. Your alien eyes adjusting. So everybody who's vaccinated can see the blue.
I see.
That's how that works. I've watched enough sci-fi channel to know that's how it works.
I'll tell you though, like you would think, lights in the sky. There's probably spotlights on the ground, right? I know there's like there's crazy amounts of protests that were going on yesterday and this and that. Maybe the cops were out. Maybe they had helicopters. I didn't see any helicopters. Didn't hear any helicopters. At least,
yeah. You gotta go a little bit higher in the sky.
A little bit higher. Yeah.
You gotta go a little bit higher.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't see them, because they were above the clouds.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it was weird. I took a bunch of pictures. I'm like, am I like just like, are these the effects of the vaccination? I don't know.
I forgot to tell you. I was wondering why you sent me pictures of the sky. It didn't look blue to me. It looked regular.
No, get out of here. Get out of here, Dan.
It looked normal to me.
No, the vaccination's supposed to help. You don't want to start fostering conspiracy theories.
I'm just saying, did you get that Johnson & Johnson shot?
I got the Moderna 2 times in the left arm.
Oh, the Moderna alien shot. Got it.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get like superpowers like Cyclops. It'll be good.
Well, remember, I mean, the Avengers are real, because a couple of months ago we were talking about the rocket pack man that was spotted in California.
Oh my God, yes.
That was Elon. That was probably Elon Musk testing out his jetpack.
That's funny.
So this is all coming true. Okay, the movies are like psychic. They were showing us the future. This is going to be the future. We have an awesome show this week. We're going to talk about the Resident Evil showcase. That was surprisingly awesome, or at least one of us thinks so. And something disturbing, the PS4 may have a kill switch. I'm definitely, hopefully Sony fixes that and that doesn't become a problem in the future. But let's start the show with a follow-up from last week. Last week we talked about Days Gone 2, the pitch for Days Gone 2, being rejected by Sony. And, there was all the talks. There was all the talks about Sony only wanting to put out major hits and not doing smaller games.
Shutting down some indie studios and all that. There was a lot going on.
And restructuring some other studios, but it looks like that pitch for Days Gone 2 was exactly what I said it could have been.
You were right. You were right. A little too far left field.
It was a pitch. The pitch that they had for Days Gone 2, according to like rumors and reports, that it was sort of like a shared universe with a big emphasis on co-op experience. Right. So
it had some online multiplayer aspect to it.
Well, think about the way I take it is their idea was maybe going Outriders, Destiny with the Days Gone franchise, which doesn't actually, if you think about it, it kind of fits, right? Like, we can jump into a game together and we're running from monsters, and we have you got to have a lot of things to do in the, that style of game. You don't want it to be like The Division, right? Where it's just you're in a great world with nothing to do. If they could put a lot of things, a lot of missions to do, and then we gotta look out for the zombies and we gotta look out for the enemies. That could have been an interesting aspect, but that's not what Sony wants. They want single player, story driven experiences, which is the opposite of what Xbox wants. They want to have a bunch of shared universes.
Yeah, head to head experience. Yeah. Well, technically, Death Stranding had co-op in it, right? Everyone was kind of like you could influence other people's worlds, right? If you put down if you build a bridge, that may show up in somebody else's game, right? Because everyone's like connected in a way. So
true, but we're not, delivering packages together.
It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just,
Well, that's what I got from this pitch, that they want to, do sort of like a Destiny style in that Days Gone world, which again doesn't sound too bad to me. I mean, it actually diversifies your portfolio a little bit, which
here's a unique experience, right? It's zombies, but it's zombies with this nice little twist.
But you did bring up an interesting point. I don't know if it was on the show last week or like after the show when we were talking about it. Days Gone had like a troubled development, right? It was being developed for a long time.
Yeah,
It was something that we haven't heard from that studio in a while, right? So it was finally revealed, finally came out. it did well. It made Sony a big profit, but it didn't review well. So I think if the pitch was more single player driven, give better intense story, emotional story, I think Sony would have greenlight that, and maybe they're working on that. We don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. They certainly could be. They say, hey, come back to the drawing board with kind of a new outline, right? That's like a little more single player focused, and then we'll talk. And maybe you're right. You're right. Maybe that is in the cards, because like at the end of the day, the numbers were good enough to, I guess, warrant even like a talk about a sequel, right? Because like Sony Bend came to the table with, here's our proposal for the sequel. So there's got to be some interest.
Well, according to Jason Schreier, Days Gone, the Days Gone guys were also making an Uncharted spinoff that was recently canceled, but it never got developed. It was all in the idea phase.
Right.
So I still think they are going to make an Uncharted spinoff.
I mean, come on now. You can't let that franchise die.
Yeah, no. It's the Halo for Sony, right?
Exactly.
So, well, let's just stick with Sony real quick. So Sony made history with an asterisk next to it. Oh, boy.
Here we go.
Well, you know what? To be honest, Microsoft made history, too, with an asterisk next to it. They both made history. But PS5 it will go in the record books as being the fastest selling console in history.
Oh my god! I knew it'd be sales numbers. It's always sales numbers when you bring up Sony.
It's X's and O's, baby. It's X's and O's. But I'm realistic. You got to put an asterisk next to it because it's the fastest selling console for bots in history.
Oh yeah. Think about all the scalpers who are left holding the bag with these consoles that are unopened and still want $600, $700, $800 at a minimum. So
these scalpers have so many PS5s and Xbox Series X's that they can build their own house and live in it.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting here, right? Like scalpers aside and all that, pandemic aside, there's a chip shortage, right? We talked about those $1 IC, those $1 integrated chips that come out of Taiwan and whatnot, and that's holding up a hell of a ton of stuff, surprisingly, and it's for a number of reasons, right? So supply of the units is kind of hindered by that, but Sony was able to produce enough of those units to break sales records, right? Fastest selling console. So, X amount of units, whatever that amount of units is, sold in the shortest amount of time. That is commendable that, they were able to get that many units out. So, all of that stuff aside, I will go ahead and tip my cap to them.
So I gotta say this. Mm-hmm. I saw people online were really mad at GameStop, and there are a lot of reasons to be mad at GameStop.
I mean, throw a dart.
I'm not gonna lie. There are a lot of reasons to be mad at GameStop, but GameStop put these bundles together that aren't great, right? They're not great bundles. I mean, I wish I could pick the game that I came with the bundle.
That would be nice, right? That would be nice.
Yeah, I got Demon Souls. I'm not a Demon Souls type of player. It's still sealed in my collection. Don't know when I'll ever unseal it. Maybe it'll always be sealed.
I'm surprised they didn't console plus 2 games, pick 2. Right?
They should, right? They should do that, but
what do they care what the game is? They're still getting the $70.
But I understand why, right? Because it's you're trying to get in and get out, right? The longer you're on there and you're sitting here trying to pick which games you want.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah.
Yeah. You can there's a lot of reasons to be mad at GameStop, but I have both consoles because of GameStop, because the bots aren't going for the $800 bundles. People are, and
true.
I got the Xbox Series X, and that bundle was up for 30 minutes. Right? The PS5 was up for about 5 to 10 minutes before I got it, but those bundles are the reason why I have the systems. And until we get this figured out with bots, hopefully there's no pandemic or anything, no zombie apocalypse when the PS6 comes out, right? I got to give all the credit in the world to GameStop. I don't know what Best Buy is doing wrong, right? Because when they try to buy those bundles, it does the same thing as I'm in a waiting line, and about the time I get out of the waiting line, it's sold out. And I don't understand how they do it so wrong or different than GameStop, where GameStop, I add the bundle to cart, check out, and it's done. So I don't know. Maybe just so many people are in Best Buy waiting that no one's paying attention to GameStop. That could be it too. But I give GameStop all the credit in the world for their bundles. It's the only reason why I have the consoles. And a part of me hopes and wishes and prays either the zombie apocalypse is completely over by the fall, or Nintendo doesn't release a Switch Pro in the fall. This is going to be hard to get at that point.
Yeah, well, we'll see at E3 how that goes down. But yeah, I mean, you make a very interesting point. It's kind of an odd way to allow customers to get a system. You know, it's a long, convoluted way to do it, and it benefits GameStop as well. But you're right; it allowed you to get two systems, right? The Xbox and the PlayStation.
Again, I just hope this is figured out before the Switch Pro or the Switch Elite, right? Or whatever the new Switch model comes out.
It won't be. It's going to be just as bad.
But with that said, they did announce a new Switch model, a new color, at least. And it's a new, sort of metallic blue. I kind of like it. It's grown on me. I kind of dig it. I can buy that. If I was going to buy any Switch with color, it would be this one.
Right. It's kind of
a Switch Lite. Sorry, Switch Lite with color. It would be this one.
It's a little bit muted, a little bit pastel, much like the gray, pink, teal, and yellow. So it kind of fits within that. Yeah, I mean it's a nice shade of blue. It's pretty solid.
Well, we got 6 Switch Lite variants. You have the teal, you have the yellow, you have the pink, you have the gray. Now you have the metallic blue, and then you have that Pokemon version, which was it was like a light gray with the Pokemon in the back. So
what about the Animal Crossing one, or does that not count?
That was a regular Switch, not a Switch Lite. Right. I just think the Switch Lite is sort of the new 3DS, right? Where they could put out different special editions. There would probably be a Link one where you can make the form factor because it doesn't need to go on the dock. So the form factor, the shell, you can morph into the Link Shield, right?
Oh, the Hyrulean Shield.
Yeah.
See, now you're talking.
Or a Pikachu face, like the 3DS with the Pikachu face, right?
You can tap the back and it says Pikachu.
Yeah. So I think the Switch Lite sort of took over that status that the 3DS had, where they can make sort of special editions, and it be in the shape of whatever they want to promote that month, or or around that time. So I'm probably, when it's all said and done, I'm probably going to have a handful of Switch Lites.
Yeah, of course you are.
Not different colors, but it needs to be different enough. The form factor, the shell needs to be different enough for me to shell out another $200.
Yeah, right.
So, Dave, it's that part of the show. As we always try to start the show, but epically fail. What have you been playing?
Oh, it's my favorite part of the show, Dan. I love it.
It's the reason why we even have a show.
Now that's right. So I have some news. All right. Like the famous Chris Ludacris Bridges. Famously said, I'm coming for that number one spot. And I made it. I posted on Twitter. I said, I'm coming for the number one spot. I hit number 5. Said, I'm making number 1. All right. And this weekend, I made that number 1 spot in Pac-Man 99. Boom.
You love these 99 games, man.
It's fun, man. It's fun. And I got that crown. I didn't even realize, I knew it was down to the last couple. And I was just like, all right, all I got to do is stay alive, avoid the red ghosts because they're instant death, and pick up the power pellets and just keep going, munching up the ghosts, just stay alive. And it was 5, 4, 3, 2, and then boom, right? And I still had time. Like, I was in the clear. I still had time. I still had room to move around. Like, everything was golden on my side, and then boom, I hear the music. I get the crown. So I posted that up on YouTube. It's a nice little, 20-second clip. Because you can post directly from Twitter, directly from your Switch to Twitter, which is super convenient. I said I have to capture this, and I meant to just take a picture, but I apparently took a video. But it's all good. It makes it even sweeter. So number one, baby.
I still haven't played it yet.
You got to download it and try it. It's fun. I mean, I'm not saying it's groundbreaking or anything, but it's a good time.
Yeah, I still haven't tried it. I definitely want to. You know what? I'll be honest. I forgot about it. That's why I haven't tried it.
I mean, there's way too many games out nowadays, so I definitely don't blame you. And also playing some Outriders. We've been doing some multiplayer in the Outriders universe, and I don't want to necessarily speak for you, but I can say that I'm having a good time with it. It's fun.
I love this game.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it good?
But there's so much to do, right? Mm-hmm. We've turned down so many side missions to stay on the main story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many hours in. I think we're like 2 or 3. No, we're definitely not 2 hours.
Maybe a little more than that. Yeah, we've done a couple of big missions so far. So
I think we're like 7 hours in. Let's just say we're 7 hours in, right? And it's already so much more content in Outriders in the 7 hours that we played than there was in the Division.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. Yeah. And they have crafting in there, which is cool. We just got that unlocked. You can do weapon mods, and you can upgrade and customize your vehicle, right? There's a giant like Humvee style armored transport thing that you can modify, which is cool.
But I think the story is so out there that I want to know what happens next. Listen, I don't love the story. Right. It's not the best story in the world, but it's engaging enough to make me want to know, all right, what's next? Which I think the Division was sorely lacking.
Oh my God, yeah. The intro cinematic was cool and the conceit was cool. Everything inside the game was like, go here and beat this boss up in this construction zone. It's like snore.
But it gave us no reason. It was no reason why we had to go. Right. Like there was no story in the Division, really.
Yeah.
It was just an opening story of why the world is the way it is, but there was no story to compel us to go to mission to beat each mission.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about Outriders. And I got to be honest, this was not on my radar at all. Like I didn't even think about Outriders.
Right.
But I got to say, it could be my half game of the year. We'll see.
Shoot. There you go.
See, we still got Resident Evil next month. We still got Ratchet and Clank in June, right? So we'll see. Okay.
Nice. Yeah. So what have you been playing besides Outriders? That's the question.
Still been playing some Outworld. Oddworld. I said Outworld. Everything is out now, right? Outman 99. No. I've been playing some Oddworld on my PS5. That game is tough, right? It's tough because you can't, there's no fighting. You can't fight in the game. You have to figure out and strategize how you're going to get this enemy over here, or even how to get rid of him, right? And then move on. And there are 3 enemies above you that you're going to see. You got to maybe sneak around and see it. It's tough. It's not something that you could just fly through, which is, I guess, what I was expecting. I haven't really played an Outworld. There we go, Oddworld game in a while.
You'll get there.
So it's something that you really have to strategize. And it was like a couple of I don't want to say missions, but it was like a couple of areas where it really took me a while to figure it out. Like I had to figure out. Right now, I'm still in sort of the open Rockies. It looked like, I'm in some mountains, and I'm getting bullets from afar, or bombs getting tossed at me from afar, and it's throwing me off because, like, when you're trying to be strategic and figure out how I'm going to get past these 3 enemies going down, because now I have to go down, but then you have bombs being thrown at you. You can't really just stand there and think about it.
Right, you don't have time. You're like, oh, gotta move.
Yeah, and then on top of that, if the enemies see you, they're gonna shoot you. So I got to make sure I'm out of their line of sight. But it's hard because I have to keep moving around left to right because the bombs are coming at me. The missiles are coming at me from the background. So it is definitely a challenging game, and it makes you think. I don't know if this is a game that I'm gonna finish necessarily. I mean, they made it maybe too hard in the beginning. They should have had it ramp up as you go. It should have been a little bit easier, right? Where the first couple of chapters were easier.
Right, right.
And when you get to the middle of the game, you get to this section to where it's like bombs are coming at you, missiles are coming at you, and you got to sit here and strategize how you're going to get past the enemies. So I don't know if we're going to finish it, but every now and then I like to jump in, and I just want to figure out how to get past this part and get to a checkpoint and then cut it off. So since I have Games Pass for 3 months, might as well start downloading some games. I've been downloading games that I have the physicals for as well. But I will say, I just want to say this: V Rally 5 game sucks. I'm sorry. If you like V Rally 5, God bless you. It's a racing game. It's too damn slippery for me. Like if I'm accelerating,
it's a little loose.
If I'm accelerating, my car shouldn't be, swerving back and forth. I'm sorry. I mean, as soon as I hit the gas pedal, it should just be going straight.
I mean, yeah,
Wow. I guess it's not. I don't know if this is like sort of dirt bike, because it's not. I'm not really on a road. I'm sort of like in the mountains, sort of racing. So I don't know how that works, but I wasn't a fan. I'm not a fan. But Dark Void, which came out for the PS3 360 era, Capcom, interesting concept. They have some, we were talking about Elon Musk was maybe the Iron Man, right, with the jetpack. You start the game with a jetpack, and there's a lot of flight. There's a flight mission in the beginning, and then you have a mission when you're third person on the ground with the gun. It's definitely dated of its time, but I could see Capcom trying to do something different, which I think a lot of games, a lot of companies didn't do last generation for the PS4, Xbox One. Hopefully, a lot of studios would try to take more chances with games this generation. Where we get some Dark Voids where it didn't score well, but people commended them for trying something different.
Right, doing something new.
Yeah, where it was sort of air combat and then third person on the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
So it doesn't hold up personally. If you don't, it's definitely dated. The visuals, the mechanics, the control.
Sure.
You have to play it with nostalgia. You have to play it with the time period in mind. Right. I don't know if anybody who's younger can go back and play this. I can because I remember those style of games. If I could play Resident Evil, the original.
No, you're right. You can play some Dark Void.
You can play some Dark Void, right?
All right. I'll have to kind of give it a whirl, especially since it's on Games Pass. Why would you not download it, try it out?
I do have this game for the 360. So I do have the physical. So if I don't renew my subscription, it is backwards compatible. I could just pop it in and keep playing it, which is why I'm playing games that I own. I actually own.
So I'm gonna make a recommendation to you. If you were looking for a arcade style racing game, you should look at Hot Shot Racing, because it's very much in the vein of Outrun, like that kind of style, with like the visuals of a Virtua Racer, right? Simple
really?
Polygons, bright colors.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I'll try it out. Okay. So why don't we take a break?
Whoa, hold on, Dan. We can't go to break just yet. We have a very special limited time giveaway of Assassin's Creed Valhalla for Xbox One /Series X. We're giving away one physical copy to one lucky winner. So head on over to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram, like this post or video, and leave a comment and tell us which Assassin's Creed game is your favorite and why. Note that you can enter once per episode and once per social media service. That's 4 times per episode. This contest is open to U.S. residents only, and good luck to everyone who enters.
Okay. Now let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll get into the top gaming news of last week.
Hey, this is Matt Adler, freelance journalist for IGN, and you're listening to Rated G for Gamers podcast.
And we're back. All right, let's get into the top gaming news of last week. We have to start with our lead story. Does the PS4 have a kill switch? Apparently, the PS4's clock battery could be a potential problem in the future, as when that battery dies, that internal battery, it won't be able to tell the time and date and talk to the servers, the PS4 servers, to sort of it has something to do with trophies and prevent trophies from unlocking in order to prevent being able to alter them when they're unlocked. So,
yeah, it's a verification method so people don't cheat and mess with, like, because you could find backdoors and whatever to say, hey, I got this trophy on this date and whatever, and there's no way to verify it. And it's interesting that they chose this way to do it, and that it's tied to a little, like, watch cell battery. The CMOS battery is very tiny. It's a little watch cell battery. All right, they're the same in pretty much every console and every device. Everybody's got one.
Well, the problem is it won't allow you to play even your physical games.
Right, because it has to check against, like, the server and all that probably, which is annoying because it's a physical game. Why does it need to check against anything? So, yeah. I think there's some things that Sony can do to mitigate this.
How about the trophies just don't pop? You don't get any trophies.
Yeah, which would be bad, but you would at least be able to play your game, which I think would be like a decent compromise there. Or just allow the trophies without any sort of verification, because nobody cares about the PS4 anymore, and who's going to try and, like, hack the system to try and get like 1 million platinum trophies. Like, it kind of doesn't matter, but it's it's nice for the people that want them, who want to proc the trophies.
It's sort of the same issue with the PS3 that we're seeing right now. They're going to close down the stores, close down the servers.
Yep.
And a lot of the issue is a lot of those trophies won't pop, right?
Yeah.
So my argument is, so what?
I mean, yeah.
You should try to get PS3 trophies 20 years later. I mean, come on, just let it go.
I mean, it's nice, but the main attraction is, like, I want to be able to play the game. Some of the games you can't play though, right? Because I think there's patches that you need for some games, and you can't get them.
Well, I don't know what games there are that needs patches. I mean, listen. I mean, I think we talked about this a few months ago when I was like, I popped in my PS3. I couldn't get to the internet. I couldn't connect to the internet because I had some old firmware on the PS3. Yep. I had to go into my router, shut off the protections, and then I was able to get online with the PS3, which is why I had no issues. I had no issues playing any games I popped in. Mm-hmm. Even though I couldn't connect to the internet. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what game there is where the patch was needed to even just play the game.
Maybe not that. I know that, like, certain patches were inaccessible. Right.
I can see this being a problem with the PS4 when that finally shuts down, where it's like, oh, if you want to play any of the Call of Duty games, the game was never on the disc.
Oh, yeah, right.
Just allowed you to download the game.
Mm-hmm. You want to play that zombie mode?
Yeah,
all you can do is watch the opening cinematic, which is apparently 60 gigs. And the rest of the game you have to download.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean,
This is what the digital future. This is what it is.
I was just gonna say it's sad,
It
right?
gets a lot worse.
Game preservation is very important. I think I remember a while ago about I think Pat and Ian on the CU podcast were talking about online games, right? And trying to like set up servers so that people could still play like, I don't know, like Unreal Tournament or Quake 3 or like Half-Life 2 multiplayer, right? Because after a while, those companies don't support the servers anymore, right? And they like, it's not economical for them to run them, so they just, shut them down. And there was kind of some back and forth over the legality of like running your own servers and the whatever in the name of game preservation. But I think we ended up winning out on that. And I think that you're kind of able to do that now if you can, patch together some stuff and whatnot, run your own server. I think that's allowed with
so how about this?
PC multiplayer.
How about this? One, the ESA, other than E3 and the ESRB, what are they good for? Right? They should be stepping in and doing some type of game preservation. The video game museum should be run by sort of the ESA or be a part. The ESA should be a part of that, and they could. And because a lot of the game company executives are on the board of the ESA, like Phil Spencer, who is I may be accused of being a Sony fanboy, but I love Phil Spencer. He is the best face in video games right now.
He's better than Don Matrick. I'll tell you what. He's the guy that said $4.99 for the Xbox One, and everybody's going to get a Kinect whether they like it or not. And look how well that.
No. He famously said, if you don't have internet, we have a great product for you. It's called the Xbox 360.
Oh yeah, oof, big oof.
No, they should be a part of this and make it to where they should be running the video game museum, which should be in like major states like California, New York, Texas, or something like that. In big populated states where, there's a lot of traffic, a lot of tourists, right? Paying to go in. And then they should be like sort of like servers for, or there should be servers for certain games where you could still play it online and half of the proceeds go to the developer or something along those lines. I don't know. You could work out the money aspect to that. Right. And they go online, offline at certain times. Right. It's like, all right, if you want to play the original Quake 2 tournament or whatever, it's going to be up for 6 months. Right. And that's going to run for 6 to 7 months. So get all that playtime in, and then it'll be down for a year or two and then come back.
They kind of do like a rotation to get. I mean, that's not a bad idea, right?
Yeah.
And you can you can have the schedule up online. So you know when your game is going to be like around for like the really old games. Yeah, and
you play a flat fee.
It could be fat depending on how much they want to charge you. But
yeah, play a flat fee like $5, $10, just to be a part of it, right?
To keep it going
for a username. And half the proceeds go to the developer or something like that, right? You can split the cost, right? I mean, obviously, you're not doing it for free, so it has to be able to pay for itself to be sustainable, and then some of that money goes to the developer, right, or whoever owns the rights or something along those lines, and then so it's not up forever, but it's like, oh, look, Quake is this year. We missed it last year. It was 2019, but it's coming back in July, from July to January, right, and then after that it's the next thing, right? It's the next game. You want to play Doom online, those servers are up next, right? It's always a rotating schedule. So it's always an online game being played for older games. And it has to be at least 10 years old, or the servers must be shut down or something. It has to be guidelines.
Right. That's it's an interesting way to handle it. Yeah.
So that's what I say. And then, knowing Phil Spencer, he'd be like, you're able to access it from Games Pass.
Right? Yeah, it's got to be integrated. I mean,
if you have Games Pass, you have immediate access to whatever game is.
You're right.
It doesn't even matter if it's a PlayStation game. You have access to it.
Oh my God, that'd be fantastic.
All right. So yeah, that's what I said. That was my 2 cents. And you're welcome, ESR. You're welcome to ESA. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's shift gears to Sony. We've been talking about how Sony's really doubling down on the competitive scene, right? They've integrated sort of was a patent integrate trophies into the competitive scene. They bought Evo. They're the official console for 2K, the 2K NBA tournament. So it looks like a new patent that Sony filed could change the way you watch esports on Twitch or YouTube. Right now, if you want to watch, sort of esports on Twitch, there's like a live editor who's cutting between different players and perspectives, right? And you have the broadcaster talking over the gameplay. But Sony wants to enhance the experience for the viewer, to have them be able to, who are unable to attend the live events in person, especially during the zombie apocalypse. They want to have the viewers have the ability to control what viewpoint they're seeing, right? Using various different command codes.
Sure.
So
that's a fantastic idea, right? You were in control. Single stream with multiple camera angles, right? So I guess maybe multiple streams, but you can kind of just like flip on the fly. That would be awesome, right? Because like, I don't know. Have you ever tried to watch like real competitive esports stuff?
I have, and they treat it like actual sports, right? Like they treat it, and where they cut to the crowd, they cut to the broadcasters, they cut to some of the players, and then they cut to the actual game itself.
Yeah,
and it can be a little boring because it's when you actually doing live sports like basketball, football, baseball. Maybe not baseball to that extent.
Baseball's really a little boring, yeah.
Well, baseball's a little slow. I don't want to say boring, but it's a little slow. More so hockey, the sports where they're moving a lot, right?
The high impact, quick.
Yeah,
action.
It's okay when you're cut into the court, because the court or the player is that's you're actually watching them in action, right? Compared to esports where you cut to the player, but you don't know what they're doing. Because now we got to sit here and watch 60 seconds and 2 minutes of just a player moving his hand, moving his fingers.
Right.
Where we may miss a certain spot where he got a good kill or he got a good win or he made it past a certain point. Where that's what I want to see. I want to see the action. Dave, who's really competitive in these 99 games. You want
to watch me dominate, of course.
I may want to watch. I want to see what Dave's doing, right? I want to see. I don't want to see him sweating or getting nervous or getting excited just yet. Right. I may want to just see what he's doing, and I can cut to him, after he's won a loss to see the emotion on his face afterwards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I could see that being a thing.
100%. I think it'd be like kind of cool. Like the thing that I was going to say is that sometimes, especially if you don't know the game, like let's take like StarCraft for example, right? StarCraft is hard to watch if you're not, if you don't know like the basics and some intermediary strategies, right? It is very hard to follow because guys are moving around like crazy and moving all these units, and it comes down to like the little sliver of health and like blinking this guy away and moving in, and it's so fast paced. And even like the commentators are trying to like do their best to like put all that together, but I could see like integrations with this on top of the camera angles of like, maybe like on the fly analysis of what's going on, or, just little like stats and whatever stuff to kind of like be like, oh, okay, well he made a good move when he did this, and this is why, or like, here's what his current stats are when he's like playing the game. That could kind of add a little context. Like I could get into like watching somebody play Street Fighter at a high level and go, oh, all right, well, he's doing this because of this, right? And here's this combo, like, but games is a tough thing.
Competitive gaming is a tough thing. It's just a tough thing to watch on TV or on a stream. Again, because Yeah, but they're not actually, you watch, if you put it on them personally, all you see is their hand moving, and you don't see what they're actually doing. Where you want to really just see the action. The best way to shoot it, for conventional television is to watch the screen, what they're doing, have some panoramic shots of the audience, but you want to see what they're doing, and when it's over, then you get their reaction, right? So that would be the best way. I hate that, especially when it was like, I remember I was watching Evo, and it was the AEW guy versus the WWE guy, Xavier Woods versus Kenny Omega, and it was hyped up on online. This is before AEW even existed, right? It was just Kenny Omega versus Xavier Woods, and they kept having shots of them, and yes, because they're big guys, and
you want to see the stars, or they think you want to see the stars, but you really
I kind of wanted. I really wanted to see the street fight. I wanted to see the fight.
I know.
You could show them afterwards, right? Because they're gonna cut a good promo because they're wrestlers, right? They're used to cutting promos on the fly. So yeah, no, this could be a good move to where I can control it, and I can move it back to the action when they do a crowd shot, because I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
At least at that moment. All right. So, all right, let's stick with Sony. And this is sort of this story is contributed to the story we did last week, where we talked about Kojima, his next game possibly being published by Microsoft, well, Xbox, and being an Xbox exclusive. And we said, wow, Kojima, how could this happen? He's supposed to be a Sony guy, right? Unofficially a Sony guy.
Sony loves Kojima, and Kojima loves Sony.
Apparently, one of the co-founders of Xbox Era Podcast, Nick Bake, said in a recent podcast that he has some, sort of the rumor that he's heard, or things that he's heard, is that Sony allegedly passed on the Kojima game, which is why Kojima was in discussions with Microsoft.
Now I want to know why, right? I want to be the fly on the wall in that pitch meeting, right? Because Sony's they know Kojima's pedigree. Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid, right? I think even Zone of the Enders was his, right? He's done amazing games, and they've all been
Lunar Night. Was it Lunar Nights? That was that DS game.
Oh yeah, and Boktai too, yeah.
Boktai, Castlevania, Lord of Shadows, the first one. I don't think he was involved in the second one.
Yeah, and some of those are a little more traditional, but they always have some weird thing involved with them, at least, right? The last game, Death Stranding, right? They helped fund that. They said, look, here's this great game engine, and we will help support this game. We'll give you some funding for it, but it's got to be PlayStation console exclusive. And I think fans loved it. I don't know if it commercially did as well as they wanted it to, but I thought it was great. It was our game of the year 2019. And it was really unique. It was a showpiece to say, look, here's a game that you've never played before. It's unlike anything else, right? It's a package.
It could be its own genre.
Right. Package delivery genre, why not? And I don't know. I thought it was super interesting. A lot of people thought it was kind of boring, but I think a lot of those people didn't give it a chance and
it's a Strand game.
It is. Well, yeah. It's whole thing. So I want to know what. We kind of have an idea it's going to be a horror theme game that he's coming out with next, but how far out there is it?
I have a theory. Let's say everything that we've read and heard is true.
Okay.
Kojima says, I have this horror game I'm working on, this horror game idea, and I want this to be a thing. I need this amount of money, and it's a big budget.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Sony is rumored to be making a Silent Hill game, right? They may have not bought the IP, but they bought the rights to make the next iteration of this game.
Sure.
And that they had to pay the Konami just for the rights to exclusive rights, and then they got to pay a studio to make it. So they probably said, listen, we don't want to have a bunch of horror games, so we may pass on this because we already spent so much money and time and effort into getting the Silent Hill franchise and reinvigorating that. So that could be a reason right?
Sure.
If everything is true, I could see that being like, listen, we don't want to fund 2 horror games. We're not the horror game console, right?
Right.
And horror games traditionally aren't big system sellers. Other than Resident Evil and Silent Hill, what other big horror game franchises are there? The Evil Within didn't do so well, but didn't do great, right?
Shin Megami Tensei is a classic.
Okay,
but
then even Shin Megami Tensei spun off into the Persona series.
Yeah, well, they still have both going. But it's it's
do you want to spend? Do you want to spend? Let's say on the high end, I'm exaggerating, $100 million to make the game. Do you want to spend $200 million on 2 horror games? All right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's certainly something that needs to kind of be discussed. And what is the projected sales numbers for these games, right? If we put 1 out, it's this. If we put 2 out, and then they're going to be competing against each other because they're the same genre on the same console. So that's that's an interesting point to take into account.
Horror game is only so much. There's only so many horror games that are going to sell.
Yeah.
And it's different when we have a God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn coming out the same year, which I still don't think that's going to happen this year. But that 2 action games, that's different than 2 horror games,
right?
So, obviously, you have Resident Evil, and they have the marketing for Resident Evil that's coming out this year, and and we're going to talk about Resident Evil in a minute. But I think either let's say it's not even a horror game. The idea is probably just out there, and Sony doesn't want to be involved in. It's like, listen. That's far out. That's an idea that we're not interested in funding. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the reason. If this is true, is true.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about Square Enix now.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was a big thing about Square Enix being a next company to be acquired by another company.
Yeah.
And let's just go through the portfolio for Square Enix, right? Because I think this would be a good purchase for anybody if they did buy it. I mean, they have Outriders, which we talked about earlier. We love.
Sure.
Marvel's Avengers, hit or miss, but it's still the Marvel. It's still the Marvel license.
The license is strong, yeah.
The license is strong, and they can always make some improvements to that. So if they do put out a sequel, that could be a heavy hitter. You have the Final Fantasy franchise, which
you're burying the lead here.
You had some little thing called Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's a tiny little game that only had a minimum of 15 mainline entries. Yeah.
And like 20 spinoffs.
Uh-huh.
You got the Tomb Raider franchise,
right?
That they own. The Dragon Quest franchise.
There you go. That's the other big one.
You have Nier, right? They have the sequel to Nier coming out next month,
right?
You have Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Deus Ex.
Mm-hmm.
Just Cause.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget about Thief. Thief was big back in the day. The name has fallen off, drastically, but that's still a franchise that they have in their stable. They publish Life is Strange games.
Right. Hitman is also under their umbrella, right?
Not anymore. They don't own Hitman. IO Interactive owns that now. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
They took that. But they, you know what? What's better than Hitman? They own Balan Wonderworld. No? No.
I mean, they do. That's about all I can say about that game.
They took all the demos down.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, man. That's a budget game I can't wait to play in November when I buy it for the PS5 for $10.
Right.
Yeah, at GameStop.
I mean, yeah. We don't need.
And I'll tell you how underrated it was.
Yeah. It's oof.
But
yeah.
So they have a great portfolio of franchises and games that it would be, it would be awesome if anybody, picked them up. And there were talks that it could be Sony, and then I didn't hear Microsoft. Funny enough, I heard Sony and maybe EA. I would think Microsoft would want them, right? Because Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Kingdom Hearts, alone would would do great in Japan for them, right? To sell some Xboxes in Japan. They had it on Games Pass.
Yeah.
But Square Enix has come out and vehemently denied that they're being sold. They are doing really well right now, so they're not. I don't think they're taking a hit, but because of the rumors, their stock soared, like GameStop stock soared a couple of months ago. Like everyone was like, "Oh my! I should have brought some Square Enix stock." Jeez. As soon as I heard these rumors, I should have bought it because this stock just soared up. Do you think they actually would have been are being sold?
Yeah, and I was actually sweating bullets over that. I was like, oh my God, and then I started looking back at the Bethesda thing, and I'm like, oh, this is how it's going to be. There's just going to be 3 companies. It's going to be Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, and they're all going to own everything, and that's going to be it. And everyone's just going to produce games for them, and that's
you just have to make a choice. Which system do you want? Which system do you want?
Exactly. Everyone's going to be taking up sides, and we have these games, and we have these games. All right, it's a big game of risk. Oh, so I'm glad that there's still third party. I still fear that they're going to be bought up because Microsoft coming out with that BD energy and just $7.5 billion on the table. Bethesda, let's go. And they just pick them up and take them home.
Well, Microsoft as a company already made another purchase, right? Like we always talk about, that wasn't Xbox's $7 billion. That was Microsoft's $7 billion.
Yeah.
Right? Microsoft is the one that pulled the trigger on that Bethesda. Yep. And we keep saying Xbox bought Bethesda. It's Microsoft bought ZeniMax.
Right, so, as the parent, they bought the parent company.
They bought the parent company to Xbox, bought the parent company to Bethesda. And Microsoft already made another purchase, right? Some AI company in a medical field in a massive deal that was another $1 billion.
They bought Nuance, which is apparently a very good company in its field. No doubt this will be integrated into their OS and an Xbox in some sort of way.
Okay, they spent $7 billion for ZeniMax, right? They bought this deal.
$7.5 billion.
7.5 billion. Sorry, 0.5
billion though. Billion.
Yeah. Billion. This cost them 19.7 billion.
Right, a drop in a hat considering if you compare it.
Well, you can't forget about the 0.7. Okay. Nuance cost them 19.7 billion.
Right.
Okay. So they bought ZeniMax 3 times over. 2.5 times over with Nuance. Okay.
Right.
I think they're going to be done in the billion range if they buy another studio, half a billion, maybe buy a smaller studio.
Right. I mean, at some point, you got to start seeing the return on your investment, right? What's the ROI? When's that going to come in? Because you can keep buying studios with we're going to make money. Don't worry, we're going to make money, right? And you keep using that money to buy more studios, you're always going to be in the hole. So, at some point, you got to sit back and go, all right, Elder Scrolls 6, let's see what you got, right? Take that money, wait around like Scrooge McDuck, and then you can go and buy a new studio.
Well, I don't think Square Enix. I think this is about nothing. I don't think they were really being sold. I think it's all conjecture and talk. I mean, listen, there's always talk about should we buy this, right? Or can we buy this?
Sure.
Or early on talks about let's just talk about it and maybe it doesn't work. All right. I mean,
but
Microsoft.
What do you think? Well, sorry.
Microsoft was in the running to buy ZeniMax for the last, I think they said the last 6 or 7 years.
It's
the whole generation.
Sure.
The whole Xbox One, PS4 generation, they were in talks to buy ZeniMax, and it didn't work out for one way or another.
Sure.
For one reason or another, right?
But I'm curious, why do you think that Square Enix is not on the block?
Because they're doing well. This was 5 years ago.
So was Bethesda, no? I mean, sans Fallout 76.
True, but I mean, what was Bethesda doing? Remember, these talks have been going on for almost a decade. So what was ZeniMax doing 7 years ago? Were they doing financially well? Right?
Yeah. They had
before Doom. This was before Doom. This was before...
Doom was the Doom refresh was 2016, right, for the first one. Wolfenstein was before that. The first 15. Wolfenstein, the Old Blood, was like 14 or 15, so you have that. 2011 was Skyrim, which still is being sold today. I mean, they're remaking it in every single platform.
Which probably made them attractive to be bought when they had Skyrim.
And Fallout 4 in 2014 did really well. You know,
was before. Yeah, okay, around the start of the talks, right?
Yeah, I mean the only thing I think they the big thing I think they slipped up on was Fallout 76. That was terrible. I don't know how the game is now, but I mean just everything about that game, the whole promotional product scandal, right? Where they like, here's this glorious bag you're gonna get, and it's like an IKEA bag, or this like awesome jacket, which turns out to be like just terrible material, right? And then the game comes out and it's a buggy mess, and they rushed it out the door, and it's like, whoa, you should have like pumped the brakes on that. But otherwise, I think they've had a good track record. I think it's
so. Remember in 2013, which is if we go back to the rumors that talk started like 7 years ago, let's just say 2013 Fallout 4, Doom, Wolfenstein weren't out. They had Elder Scrolls. That's pretty much it was a lot of rumors of Doom. There was a lot of rumors of Prey 2. It was a lot of rumors of Fallout 4.
Yeah.
It was all rumors, right? So they probably were a prime candidate to be bought back in the day.
Right. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. So, like I feel like Square's in the same boat where, they're a good. I mean, they are a AAA studio. They do put out AAA games, but they're. I don't want to say they're mid-tier, but they're kind of mid-tier, maybe. Like they're a company that I think is able to be bought for the right amount of money. Right, you can put down a sack of money on the table, and if they're looking to sell, they're probably going to sell. So maybe they're not looking to sell because of all the points you said. Right, they're doing really well right now. They got multiple concurrent franchises which are doing well, and they're putting out sequels, or sequels are already out. In the case of a lot of these games, right, Tomb Raider games have been doing real well. Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest have been gangbusters. Right, Kingdom Hearts that came out, everyone seemed to love Kingdom Hearts 3. So,
and everyone seems to really like, Life is Strange. They're putting out, season 3. So,
yeah.
That's the reason why. Like, Capcom was rumored to maybe be on the market 5 years ago, because they weren't doing so well financially. They weren't, allocating money, to different departments,
right,
spreading it out well, which contributed to that awful Capcom versus. What was that? I have it right there in the tip of my tongue. What was that game? That Capcom fighting game? Capcom versus
Capcom. Or you mean Street Fighter Cross Tekken?
No, not the PS4 era. PS4. What was that? What was the fighting game? Marvel versus Capcom.
Oh, Infinite. Yeah.
Yes, man. Terrible. Marvel. Yeah, they took funds away from that and allocated to other departments, and
they
probably wasn't a good idea.
And they didn't support that at all.
Yeah. So Capcom would have been the prime company to buy, but now they're doing really well financially. So that's why I don't think this thing with Square is serious.
Okay.
And speaking of Capcom, they have the Resident Evil series, which is doing really well, right? They sort of took a hit when Resident Evil 6 came, and they sort of reinvented Resident Evil or Resident Evil 7 and making it in a first person view. And making it more of a horror, definitely going back to the roots to be more of a horror game and less action.
All right, they added in the VR element, which was huge.
And Resident Evil 8 seems to be in that same vein. And we just had sort of a Resident Evil showcase.
All right.
And here are a bunch of things that they announced. They announced Resident Evil 4 VR for the Oculus Quest 2. I mean, how many times are they going to keep putting out Resident Evil 4?
Oh my God! It's speaking of games like that, Skyrim. Christ, it's on every damn console. Yeah,
you can play Skyrim and Resident Evil 4 all in your Amazon Alexa.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And then we How would you play Resident Evil 4?
I mean, they made the Skyrim game work, and it's actually like kind of fun. Like it's completely different, but it is definitely Skyrim.
And then they announced a Resident Evil Village gameplay demo that's pretty much out as of this recording. So it comes out April 17th.
Yep.
Is the first demo. That's the demo of the Village. So I think that demo is a little bit more actiony. Well, at least I hope.
Right.
You're going to be exploring the village. The first demo you were in, it was a sort of a castle dungeon. You were in a dungeon and then you were in a castle.
Mm-hmm.
That was exclusive to the PS5. So this Village demo is exclusive to the PS5 and the PS4. Comes out April 17th at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, yeah.
Pacific Standard Time, yes.
In America.
In North America, the demo, you have an 8-hour window, but the demo itself, you have 30 minutes. Once you start playing, then you have 30 minutes to play that demo.
Okay.
Then you have the castle demo, which I don't know if this is the same demo as the first one, or if it's a different demo than the first castle demo.
Right. I would assume it'd be different, but we don't know.
And this one also is exclusive for the PS5 and the PS4. Also have 8-hour window. Demo is about 30 minutes long. It's coming out April 24th, so it's a week after the Village demo. And then a week after that, May 1st, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific time, you have a type demo that's about 60 minutes. It comes out to it is Village and Castle comes out to all platforms: PS5, PS4, Xbox Series S/X, Xbox One, Steam, and Stadia. Sorry, no Switch.
Yeah.
And then a week after that, and then a week after that, or 6 days after that, actually, May 7th, the game is released.
Okay. Can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing here? Capcom. What the hell are you doing? Why does this need to be this complex? We have 3 different graphics that have 3 different timesheets to let you know the block of time, the amount of time, and the systems that you are able to play the demo for North America, for Europe, and for Japan. Right? It doesn't need to be this complex. Just put the demo out there. Time demo is fine, right? You don't want people getting bored of the game, just keep playing the demo over and over again and then not buy the game, right? You want to give them a taste. I get that. But just put it out there, right? We already had a PlayStation demo like a month ago. You got to play it. I haven't played it. I don't have a
You would have loved it because I hated it. It was super scary.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for I want to play the good Series X demo and get hyped for the game and then buy it a week later. Right? I don't understand why it's like, well, PlayStation comes first and Xbox comes second, and you only have a small window, and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 4 a.m. That is our block of time to play it. Jesus, this is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I see you're venting over there.
I am so hyped for this game, but I am so not down to bend over backwards to play it during their limited time window. I'm sorry. Don't you agree it's a little weird? Let me ask you a question. May 1st, are you going to download the demo? I mean, yes. It is. But I'm not going to be happy about it, Dad. Why did I have to wait so long, and why is it only between this block of time?
I'll tell you all about it when I download it tonight.
All right.
I have a PS5.
Yeah. You'll tell me how. Nah, this game isn't for me.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I'm not about this game.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
All right. Well, that's not the only stuff. That was the big stuff. Mm-hmm. Not the only stuff they had with this in this presentation. We got to see Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. It's all about zombie outbreak at the White House. Animated movie that's on Netflix. That's coming out in July. Resident Evil. It was interesting
because it was Leon and Claire, stars of Resident Evil 2, right? Leon, famously, star of Resident Evil 4, who ends up going to Spain to save the president's daughter. So it all comes full circle because Leon's in the White House, right? You get a nice little like overhead helicopter shot of the White House, and I'm like, how does that tie in? It's like, oh, that's right. Ashley is the president's daughter, so it all makes sense.
All makes sense. It all ties in.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Resident Evil Dead by Daylight collaboration announced. Right?
This is the 4v1 horror game, right? Where, there's 4 humans who are trying to escape. They have to do some tasks and whatever, and there's a big bad monster that comes after them. So we'll probably get Nemesis or Tyrant or something in there as like a playable boss character or whatever. So that'll be kind of cool.
So, and as a side note, Dusk Golem, who accurately leaked Resident Evil news in the past, notably, I think the Resident Evil 7, saying that it's going to change into first person. If I'm not mistaken, he predicted a bunch of this stuff. He actually went out and said that the Resident Evil 9 will end the story that Resident Evil 7 started. So we will conclude the trilogy with Resident Evil 9, which will probably take another 2-3 years to come out. That will be first person, and whenever you wait another 2, 3, 4 years, and then when Resident Evil 10 comes out, that's going to be rebooted again, right?
Yeah. Well, I could see this being a thing for sure. I could see this being a thing. I did. I don't know if you got like somewhat into 7, right?
I played 7 until we got to the family. Once we got to the family, I was out.
Okay, so that was still pretty early on, but it
was like an hour or two,
right? Ethan and his girlfriend or wife, Mia.
Yeah,
if they're
she's
married.
Missing.
Right. Well, they said in the trailer it is like you need to take care of so and so like you took care of Mia, or something like that, which says to me maybe she's not around anymore. Maybe she's dead. I don't know.
Yeah, you can keep all of that. I'm good. I'll never know what happened to me. Nor do I care.
Well, I'll let you know when I get to.
You let me know. I'll let you know how the demo is, and you'll let me know how the ending of Resident Evil 8. Because I'm probably not gonna play it. Oh well, no, I take that back. I'll play it. I'm not gonna. After an hour or two, I'm gonna jump out. No, my type of game.
Hey, well, at least you're giving it a try. All right?
I always do. I always do. Just like I gave Bioshock a try, right? I got the Bioshock trilogy on the Switch. Played. I'm literally almost done with like Infinite. I'm like an hour left. I just haven't gone back into my save. Bioshock 1, more on the scary side. I gave it a college try. Just wasn't. The story really didn't pique my interest at all, to be honest. I didn't really. I cared less about the story. Wow. I know. Everybody loves the story of Bioshock.
The story of Bioshock was like, nah, I'm not. Dan Robinson, nah, not about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Wow.
I liked I played Bioshock 2 when it was like free on PlayStation Plus years ago.
Sure.
And I like that better because I was Big Daddy. I played as Big Daddy. I was the big scary guy.
It was an interesting twist, right? You had the big arm drill and all the cool weapons. Yeah, man. A lot of people dunk on 2, but 2 had much better combat than 1. You were not playing 1 for the stellar combat. It was good enough to like get you through, but it was really the story in my eyes, right? Part 2 was much better. The hacking was much better. You could have plasmids and weapons in your hand at the same time, right? There's a lot of good quality of life, a lot of good combat improvements in there. The story was okay. But yeah, man.
The story. Well, remind me. The original developer didn't make 2, right? It was another studio, and then they came back and made 3.
2K Marin, which I believe it was Marin, which doesn't exist anymore. They made part 2 because 2K is the one that produced it. They own the IP. Ken Levine made the first one. Ken Levine and Irrational made the first one. Ken came back to do the third one, and part 2 is developed by 2K in-house.
And guess what? The third one was a lot of action, right up my alley.
Third one did have a lot of action. Yeah. I was definitely a big fan. I liked how they tied it back to the original, made it kind of part of the universe, which I thought was kind of cool.
So what do you want from Bioshock 4? Because by all accounts, it looks like the next Bioshock game will be an open world game, according to a job listing found by PC Games N. New job listing for Bioshock 4 is looking for a developer. The team they're looking for developers, someone to help deliver Bioshock story in an open world setting.
Right. So well, a couple of things, right? The open world thing is interesting and scary because open world can go bad, right? It can be vast wasteland, very boring. Like in the case of The Division, right? Division was an open world kind of looter shooter. Not a lot to do, right? Story was kind of meh. And I'm afraid Bioshock 4 could succumb to just like, well, I mean, it looks pretty. It's a big open world, but not a lot to do.
Yeah, but The Division is mostly a cooperative type of game. I think they're looking at Bioshock in the Grand Theft Auto world where there are no invisible walls. You can go anywhere and do anything you want.
I mean, sure. But there are open world games that either don't have enough to do or have way too much stuff to do where it's just like, like any Assassin's Creed game, you open up the menu and there's a million little dots and they're all different things you can do. And you're like, oh my God, there's way too much.
Well, okay, there we go. How about an Assassin's Creed Bioshock game?
Yeah, see, I don't know. Because like the thing that the thing that made Bioshock great was its tight narrative story. The first one was amazing. And it also flipped gaming conventions on its head, right? It was really trying to say something about player agency and choice, where player agency and choice in just about every game is a fallacy, right? Like, here's a thing that you can do if you want to, and it's like, well, no, you have to do it, right? In Mario, you have to get to the flagpole. You have to save the princess, right? You have to beat a monster, right? In like Final Fantasy, you have to beat a monster. You have to save the princess, get the crystals back or the whatever, right? If you don't do it, then you don't progress the game, right? And that was the whole conceit of Bioshock, right? There's the guy Atlas, and Atlas is telling you like, hey, pick up this thing, would you kindly, is the phrase that's kind of throughout. And I guess if anyone hasn't played Bioshock, skip ahead like a minute or whatever, but like the whole like spoiler is like the whole entire time the guy Atlas is the big bad boss, right? At the end of the game, right? He's the one who's directing you and telling you to do all these things in the veil of like, hey, could you help me out with this thing? And you feel like you're making that choice. But in reality, he's guiding you to, to his end, which is like super interesting, right? And that kind of that falls off in 2, and 3 is interesting. Like they do some interesting things in 3, and they kind of tie it back to 1. But so that's what I'm afraid of. You don't get that punchy, poignant story, and that's the thing that I like about it. The like aesthetic and the music and the whatever is all there to serve the story, right? It's all backdrop for this amazing story of this underground utopia. All right.
Well, imagine this. I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Okay.
For a second.
Okay.
Let's say in world, because Bioshock 3 was semi-open world because you could go back to different, points.
It was a little connected, yeah.
It was a little connected, but there was nothing. There was no side missions or anything like that, right? Like you couldn't do anything when you went back.
Yeah, you could just like look for like extra treasure that you missed and all that, or power ups. Yeah.
So imagine, let's take it to Bioshock 1, when you're in this underwater world, and here, you're gonna get a map, which I don't think you really got in Bioshock. You get a map, and it's like to progress the story, you have to go here, but then you end up going to different side places, or you go into the water and get attacked by a shark. Right, if you want, or something along those lines, and then you get side missions where you help people out and gain experience points, or you gain a reputation of maybe he's not that bad. I don't know, right? Like, wouldn't that be a little bit interesting too? Right? Again, you say, and you're guilty of this too. The next game needs to be more than the last game. Well, what else could they do? What else could they do in Bioshock 4 to make you feel like you're playing Bioshock 4 and not Bioshock 3.5?
Well, I mean, an engaging story and new,
which they had in all 3 Bioshocks. You can argue.
two was
you can argue. I said argue. Argue.
Two is lackluster. I mean, one is still the best. But if you put an engaging story in there and, you update, like two updated the combat mechanics. So and they kind of fixed the boring hacking from the first one. I think the hacking in 2 is a lot better. So I like running around and like beating people up in 2. I think that's like super cool. They also introduced the kind of video camera, which you could use to tag enemies, and if you tagged enough of them or caught enough video footage, you would gain like new knowledge about those enemies and then gain abilities to beat them. In the first one, it was a photo camera, which was like kind of cool. So, innovate on the core gameplay mechanic and put an interesting story in there, and I think you're good. Doing a big open world with that aesthetic, I don't know. It would be like Fallout under the water, maybe, if you can,
the game you never knew you wanted.
Yeah. I mean, it could be good.
Fallout under the water.
Fallout under the water. I mean, it could be good. Like I love some of the Fallout games. Fallout 2 is like my favorite in the franchise, and it is open world. You make your own story, but they have good like quest chains. And you really feel like you're making an impact.
You can call it Bio Out.
Bio Out. No.
Fall Shock?
No.
Fall Shock?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, look. It could be good, but I am cautiously. I'm still kind of on the fence. I don't want to get too hyped up about it just yet. Also, not to mention that Ken Levine has nothing to do with this. It is Cloud Chamber, which is a studio formed by 2K internally. So this will be the first game that this new team is working on.
And let's give him a chance.
I mean, sure. Chance. We'll see how it is. I will definitely try the game out, 100%.
You know what? How about this? How about they just give me the Bioshock on the Vita like they promised when the Vita was announced? That's all I want. That's all I want.
Wow. That's all I want. Back when the Vita was still a thing.
That's all I want.
All
right. Last on the list of news, it looks like Nintendo is quietly shutting down the Labo website.
Oof.
At least in North America. Apparently, the official North American website for Labo now redirects the site to the site's page for a Labo VR set.
Mm-hmm.
However, the Nintendo websites in the UK and the European countries still send users to the main Labo page. So Nintendo has not commented on the change in North America, but it's looks like the writing's on the wall for Labo.
Mm-hmm.
I think they put out 5 Labo kits in total. I only have 2.
Mm-hmm.
They will be the most expensive cardboard I ever paid for that I never opened. And hopefully before they disintegrate, I do open it and try. You gotta
at least try them out. Yeah, it was really like interesting, and I thought it was cool. Like it was a fun kind of tech project for like father and son, or mother and son, or mother and daughter, or father and daughter, or whatever. For the parents and their kids to kind of work on something together, and they can kind of create and build and make these cool things out of cardboard and with the little screen. And I kind of wish they kept going with it. I think they could have done like a season 2 or a series 2, and it still would have been like, okay, this is like super cool. I feel like it's gone too soon.
No, I think it's run its course.
Dan, come on now.
It's time to make a real VR headset, Nintendo, not make it out of cardboard.
They're not about that, though. They're not about that.
You never know. I like the whole toy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get different Labo pieces or just cardboard, or you can just cut it out yourself if you have the cutout. You can just cut it out yourself and make it.
I mean,
because it's all just cut. It's just cardboard.
Wow, this guy. It's a kit, though, right? It's a kit. It's easy to do. It takes about a half an hour to set up or so, and then you're off and rolling.
This is what they need to do. Are you ready? You get the VR Labo kit, and you connect it to the Mario Kart, the Mario toy, the racer car, and you can see through the camera in the Mario Kart, so like you're in the car racing, right? Boom. That's how you bridge them all together.
How you gonna get the VR kit when it's not around anymore?
Well, I'm just saying, you make the VR kit just for that.
That would be kind of neat to try. Yeah, you don't have the VR kit one, do you?
I do.
Oh,
I have the VR kit, and then I have the second kit. I forgot what the second. I think that was the piano.
Okay. So you know what you do.
I really wanted the Robo kit, but I couldn't find it for a good price. I wasn't paying $60.
All right. So I'm gonna go and come by and bring the Mario Kart Live circuit thing. We'll open the VR thing and we'll see if we can mash them together and make it.
I don't think there's any way to mash them together.
Why not?
Oh, actually, yeah.
Yeah, because right? all you gotta do is load up the app and then put the thing in the VR screen.
That's true. That's true. And they should have marketed that together and put that together and make a package.
Yeah, I mean it's apparently not very comfortable to hold it up because it's like a whole big thing that you gotta like pop on your head and use. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm good. All right. So that's it for the news. You got any interesting weekend plans?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not so much on the weekend, but the big deck build of 2021 is underway. I finally got my contractors to come by, and they poked some holes in the wall, and they are in the process of building the custom door, which is step 1 to having my deck. So very, very excited. So I'm gonna do some work outside, spray paint some stuff, clean some stuff up, get it all ready to go. But yeah, in less than a month, I think. Crossing
into time in time for Memorial Day.
Right. In time for the good weather. So yeah.
Okay.
So how about you?
Well, since the PS3, PSP, and PS Vita stores are going down, I'm just gonna look and see what games I can buy cheap while they're still cheap. Well, I'm gonna see if there's any games like. Well, there's certain games like Freedom Wars that has a lot of like free DLC, right? Mm-hmm. That because it was a popular game in Japan. See if I can download that, keep that on my memory card. I gotta even see how many memory card sticks I have for the Vita, because it was that proprietary Sony cards.
Memory stick, the memory stick and the memory stick duo.
Yeah. Also, I'm looking. I'm trying to find some of these games before they get too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I have Minecraft for the Vita, but the North American version only had a digital code. So since the Vita is region free, I went out and I bought just the Minecraft card for the Japanese version. So I have the box, and now I have a game to put in the box. And if I can't download that game anymore, even though I had the download code,
yeah,
I have the physical version that I can play on my Vita. I think it has an option for English. I mean, there's no dialogue in it, right? And it is an American. It is a North American game developer.
Mm-hmm.
Mojang is Microsoft. Yep. So I don't think there really is any options. I don't think there's no reason to have it in Japanese, or you could just change the options to English.
Mm-hmm.
For all the playthroughs I've seen from the Japanese version of Minecraft, it was always looked like it was in English. So It either starts in English, or there's a way you could change the setting to English.
Right.
So I'm not a big Minecraft fan, but you never know. Maybe one day I'm in a mood to want to play it.
Right,
and I have the box. I had the game on the Vita, but now I got the physical. Version of it. So that's what I'm gonna do. Just look. It's still cold, and there's nothing really I can do.
A little bit.
So yeah, as it gets warmer, a lot of my weekends are going to be out and about, especially on the beach with the Switch.
Nice. Well, all right, folks. That is episode 266 in the books. We want to thank you guys for listening to the show, liking, commenting, doing all the good stuff that you guys do. It certainly helps out a lot, and we appreciate it. If you want to interact with us, and we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can use our social media to enter our contest, our special limited time giveaway of Assassin's Creed Valhalla for Xbox One/Series X. One physical copy will be given to a lucky winner. So head on over to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram. Like this post or video and leave a comment and tell us which Assassin's Creed game is your favorite and why. Note that you can enter once per episode and once per social media service. This contest is open to U.S. residents only, so good luck to everyone who enters. And finally, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. You can check out all of the fine podcasts on there at gamingpodcastalliance.com if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So, please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.